Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn how to use the slide transition and animation feature found inside the Microsoft PowerPoint. Alright, without further ado, let's jump into the Microsoft PowerPoint. As you can see, I have my PowerPoint open with a few simple slides which I prepared in advance just for the purpose of this demo. As we all know, we use Microsoft PowerPoint almost daily to do the presentation of our slides. So mastering some basic skill in Microsoft PowerPoint can help us better control and present our slides. Okay, let me start my slide in the slideshow mode first. As you can see, I prepare my slide in just a plain slideshow without any transition and animation applied. See, if I move on to the next slide, it's all just plain. So it would be interesting if I can apply some transition and animation effect to my slide. As you can see on the toolbars here, there's toolbar called transitions and animations. Transition is for you to control the transition of the slide by applying some effect. And then the animation is for you to control the animation effect within the same slide for the content in the same slides. Alright, let me begin. So I go to the first slide, and then I want to apply some animation to the first text box. I highlight it, and I go to the animations. As you can see, there's a few effects for me to choose. If you click on the drop down list here, you can see more effect for you to choose. If it's still not enough, there's an option called more entrance effect, and there's a whole bunch of effects for you to use. So I just simply pick one and choose wedges, and I click on the OK to apply. Then down here you will see there's a toolbars. The toolbars here, there's three options. If you click on drop down list, they're on click, which means it will apply the effect once you hit your mouse. With previous, which means it will apply the same effect with the previous effect, and after previous, which means it will apply this effect only after the previous effect has been completed. Okay, as for the duration, it's for you to choose specify the length of an animation, like how long you want it to be stay there before the next one come out. And then for the delay, is for you to play the animation after a certain number of seconds. Alright, so let me choose the first one. So I just leave it at on click, and the duration I just leave it at 2 seconds. When I'm done, I move on to the next animation. I go to the next text box. Then I choose an effect here, animation effect, which is split. Right. Then I want it to be up here after the previous one. So I click under the start. I choose after previous. And then I don't want it to be too fast. I want it to be leave there for about 1 second, or maybe 1.25 seconds, and I want to play this animation after 1 second, and apply it. And then I go to the transitions. Under the transition, I can choose a few effects. So maybe for the starting, I choose this effect, and I can choose how. After you choose the effect, you will see there's another two toolbar here, whether you can play sounds or you put the duration, how long you want to be there. And then if you want it to be manually clicked, then you put on the mouse click, which means the transition will happen only when you click your mouse. Or you can just let it run automatically after a certain amount of seconds. So maybe I just put after 8 seconds. So the second here, I can go back to this animation. When I click on the animation pane, then I just play the effect from the first one. Then I will notice down here you can they will show you how long the entire effect will be played for this entire slide. Okay, let me play. Notice the bar running. Okay, the effects come in, and the second one, and the third one. So it starts at about 4 seconds. So 4 seconds. So I go back to the transition. So I know that this transition will be it will change to the next slide after 4 seconds. So I can put more than 4 seconds. Maybe I just put it up, leave the slide there for a bit longer. Maybe I put about 7 seconds. Then I go to the next slide. Let me show you. So it is play. Okay, my first animation come out, followed by the second one. They move to the second. So I gotta pause here. Okay, so this is happened. Okay, now after I'm done with the first slide, I'm satisfied with it. So I move on to the next slide. For the next slide, first I can choose the transition method. Maybe this time around I choose review, which means so it will be using the review transition method before you move on to the next slide. This is the effect. So I have done the transition. So now I gotta choose the animation of the text that I want to apply the effect. So I come here, I click on the first one, to use the transition, this one, the first dialog box. Same thing, I go to the animation. Then I choose an animation. Maybe this time I choose fly in. Okay, once I choose fly in, I can click on the drop down list. Then under the effect option, I can choose the direction of the effect, whether it fly in from the bottom or from the left. So or you can choose a few options like from the left, right, top, from bottom left. So I'm gonna choose, I just pick from left, and I'm gonna click on OK. So this will happen. So 0.5 is too fast. So I'm gonna make it a bit slower by increase the duration. Maybe I put it to 175. Let me play again. And you will notice that now the speed a bit lower. Alright, when I've done, I move on to the next text box. I highlight it, and the same thing, fly in. Let's say, for example, this arrow, I want the top one and the second one appear at the same time from different direction. So the second one, let me choose fly in as well. Then I go back to, then I come here, I choose the timing. 1.75 as well. And then because just like I mentioned that I want it to be appear at the same time with the first dialog box. So on the start here, I had to choose with previous, which means it will happen together with the previous dialog box. And then the timing is the same. So there's no delay. As you can see, there's no delay. Then let me play to see how it's in action. So it will play around 2 seconds, or just 2 seconds before you move on to the next slide. Okay, so this time I don't want it to be from the bottom. I want it to be fly in from the right. So I can click on the drop down list here under the effect options. I can choose from right. Okay, let me play the effect preview again. Okay, so this how it is look like. Okay, once I have done, let me go back to the transition. Let me set the transition timing. I want it to be turned off. Move on to the next slide after, maybe after 8 seconds as well. When I have it done, I move on to the next slide. Okay, this time around, I want this text box to be disappear before it show up the last picture. So how to do that? Let me click on this text box. Then I go to the animation. Then I choose and I click on the drop down list. Under the drop down list, you will see this option called more easy effect. I click on this. I want it to be dissolved. There's a whole bunch of tools, the effect that you can choose. Let me just choose dissolve out, which means it will just disappear. So disappear, right? So I click on OK. Then I can choose how long it will be stay there. So maybe I put 1.5. If I click on the drop down list, go to the effect options, you will see that there's more effect option for me to choose. See, animate test, you can just disappear the entire box at once, or you can choose by word. If I choose by word, see what happened. Let me click this one, then you see word by word is gone. So if I go back to the drop down list one more time, go to effect options, instead of animate by text by word, I click on the drop down list. This time around I click by letter, and I'm gonna apply it, so it will disappear letters by letters. So about 4 seconds. All right, so I satisfied with this one, so I move on to the next one. Then this time around I want it to be after, so I click this one, the animation. I choose one of the animation. Maybe I choose fly in, which means they fly from somewhere else. All right, then I can choose the duration. No, I have to choose the start, which means if I want it to be after the previous one. So I click after previous, which means after the wording dissolve, then this picture come in. So I gotta choose after previous. Then for the duration, I can just leave it at 1.25 seconds. Then I save. Then I go to the transit. Then let me play for the action again one more time, the effect, to roughly estimate how many seconds do I need to set for the transition. So let me play. So it stopped at around 6 seconds. So I know roughly I need 6 seconds for the transition to be done. So I go back to the transition. So I choose a transition, choose split. Then I choose 6 seconds. No, I choose 8 seconds, right? Okay, so now I have, let me confirm one more time for all the slide transition. I have set the first slide set at 7 seconds with the style called move. The second transition is review after 8 seconds, and the third slide transition split for about 8 seconds. Alright, and then I go back to the test. Let me see all the text that I set correctly. So I have go to the animation one more time, check everything, confirm that you had done the correct animation. Alright, second one, do the same check. The third one, do the same check. Alright, so when you're done, just let us save the PowerPoint slide. Then we go to the PowerPoint slideshow mode to see how is it going to show up. Alright, it's running. Now the first transition, now the first animation, second one. Then go to the next slide. Then both text box appear at the same time. Move on to the third one. Then text box dissolve out. Then turn out the next one. Then that's it. Alright, as you can see, our slide has successfully created with the animation and transition that we want. Alright, so this is how we apply the transition and animation to our slide to make it more interesting. If this video is help you on how to apply the transition animation on your slide, and have you learned some skill with the Microsoft PowerPoint, do hit the like button down below this video and do subscribe to my channels. Hope to see you again. Goodbye.